Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show where I talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the season finale of iZombie. A fantastic season finale. It was so freaking good. So many twists and turns. Just so many awesome story developments. But obviously, I'm going to break everything down piece by piece. Obviously, I guessed it right. The whole Justin situation with Liv. He was super pissed when he found out because it's like I thought. It's like, yeah, you can't only use that brain excuse for so long because this is, well, because I don't think that ever really, like, the only time that ever really came up with was with Lowell. I don't know if that ever came up with Drake too often. Not to my recollection. It definitely came up with Lowell, but now it's a situation of, like, in Justin's mind, it's like, no. If you want to fight the brain, you could, but the fact is you didn't, and that's what hurts him even more. Like I said, this is also after they had already established, oh, we're going to be boyfriend and girlfriend, and now you go around, and not only do you sleep with, it's not just anyone you slept with, it's my freaking boss, my superior officer you slept with. It's like, that's like even more of a gut punch, and considering the fact is that this is the same dude that shot him too. But at the same time, obviously it sucks and everything, but at the same time, I look at it a little differently. I don't really blame Liv for it. Like I said, it's a sucky situation, and it's like, I don't think Liv is like every other zombie, because for Liv, she gives into the brain. Like, as I've brought up before, and as other people have described her, Liv is a sponge. She always adapts like everyone else's personalities. Maybe it's just something, maybe it's part of who she naturally is before she was a zombie, like part of who she was as a human, and maybe she brings in like the personality of other, like the person's brain she eats a lot easier. Maybe it's just like, maybe that affects it, maybe it doesn't. But also because the fact is that she willingly gives into the brains a lot, so maybe her body's built up a tolerance where it's harder for her to fight it because her body's so used to giving into the brains, because that's how she solved cases. I mean, because Liv has tried countless times to fight the brains, but they always kind of tend to win anyway. And she was able to fight it for such a long time with Caddy's brain and everything, but sadly, it finally broke down completely when it came to Chase and everything. But like, at least that, to me, that's Liv's defense. Like, I mean, I'm not saying it's like the best defense, but it's like it's an understandable defense. But still a situation, and like, from a relationship perspective, it's like, that's still not the easiest thing to get around. I mean, the fact of the matter is, I mean, if the circumstances could just as easily be flipped. I mean, at the same time, too, it's like, you have military training. She doesn't, so that's another thing to, like, break up, too. And it's like, when's the last time that you've been on continuous amounts of brains? You've always been on, like, I mean, for as long as, like, Liv's known you, he's always been on those tubes and everything. But, I mean, like I said, it's sad that it kind of fell out like that. And I'm very interested to see where that will go going forward. Obviously, we saw later on in an episode they crossed paths again, and he was, like, he didn't show her any mercy. Like, he was like, she's over here, telling the other Fillmore Grace people she was there and everything. So it's kind of like, yeah, that's definitely not ever going to be the same again. He just holds such animosity towards her now. Like I said, it wasn't even her fault, it was the brain and everything, but to him it's like, nah, that's one and the same. Like, it's not the brain's fault, it's your fault for not stopping your brain and stuff like so. But what really got me was the twists and turns in this episode, finding out that it's like, no, like, it wasn't, because this entire time I thought Chase was behind everything. I was wrong. I was dead wrong. It was Carrie behind it all. Even she was like, oh, you really? Me? She's trying to act all meek and innocent. It's like, no, she's the mastermind behind everything, from Wally and his family getting killed, to Vivian and them dying, to this whole situation unfolding, Caddy's death and everything, because it turns out that, because basically Chase and them have always, in her eyes, it's like, you consider yourself idealistic. Basically, she went through with Plan B, which is Doomsday Plan, that basically they spread a virus, because the entire time, like, the virus that was being spread, like, obviously, like, Liv and Clive were thinking like, oh, it was, as well as Robbie were thinking that Chase was doing that so that, people would get sick and die and they have a fresh set of brains. But it's like, no, the actual thing was like, because the moment the immunization gets spread around and everything, they infected it with blood and everything. It's like the plan from the very beginning was to spread zombieism. Like, probably make the entire city zombies, which is kind of interesting when you think about it. It's like, because you would think, well, That might not have even actually been the original plan. It's just probably because of what Carrie already set in motion. That was just like, you know, Chase's only way to kind of work around. But anyway, getting back to it, it's because like, it's like, oh, you and your sister Vivian, you had this whole plan about, oh, sending us to an island and stuff like that, zombie island. It's like, you're going to put all the zombies in one place. How idiotic can you be? You're making us an easy target and stuff like that. So basically, she did all of this to set things in motion because it's like, no, we need to make a hard move. So basically, this whole thing is like a gigantic mutiny. We don't know if everyone that was on that side has been taken care of in this particular situation. All those like who would have sided with Carrie. I appreciated that. They were like, oh, she picked the worst time to clean your gun. He pulls out a gun. Pow, pow, pow. So, like I said, because, I mean, I guess it should have made sense. Like, from the very beginning, I knew this had to be like an inside job, but I was sure it was at the top. I thought it was Chase. Sorry, Chase. Turns out, I mean, it was a little lower down the branch, but I guess it makes sense as her too, because it's like, of course, it's going to be someone that's just in the background. You didn't see Carrie a lot, but she popped down every once in a while, kind of just. That's typically how crime dramas work too. It's like, it's usually the person that you see pop up a couple times throughout the episode or something like that. Or more often than not, it's the person you see the very least. And amongst people at Fillmore Graves, she's the one you tend to see the least. And also, it's sad to find out that Vivian is outright dead. I thought that was like, oh man, that was some red herring or something. I was like, oh no, she's officially dead now that it's all been set in motion. But it was all meant to rile up zombies, because she figured if she could get the zombies riled up, everyone would kind of be, it kind of create that divide even more between humans and zombies. Obviously, the people at Fillmore Graves already had the reservations about humans being like, oh, we're going have to be wary of them anyway, just of how they would react. But more so than anything, it's like it would kind of bridge that even more and make the zombies already on edge. It's like, oh, we got to be careful. Oh, make them more likely to go through it. At least Chase would most likely want to go through if his sister died and all this zombie related stuff is coming up. But it's like, no, he didn't go through with it, so that's why she was doing everything she did. So like I said, we don't know if everyone within that Fillmore Graves is 100% done, if there's any more like traitors amongst the ranks, but you know, still. But infecting the cures like that was just like, I was like, dude, spreading zombieism like that. So like I said, I'm still unclear on whether or not, it seems like that wasn't necessarily the plan from the beginning, because it was all about getting brains. Like, I think they were right from the beginning, but I think like that was Chase's way of getting around the situation. It's like, it's already a terrible situation, so it's like, we might as well kind of make the best of it. So definitely took a very interesting turn for Clive and Dale, because I was not... he told her. I wasn't 100% sure he would tell her, but it's like he showed her when she captured Tanner, because she started piecing things together. He punches Tanner. It's like, yeah, there are zombies here. And she's like, yeah, you're going to have to let him go like I did with Major, and I'll tell you everything. He got the call from Liv, and he stepped out, but by the time he got back, she'd already been infected. So we see at the end, like, she's got the white hair, and he's, like, helping her and everything, which is, like, that's definitely going to complicate things, because you can't have, like, an actual relationship. That's how the virus is spread and everything. It's like, Clive is going this long without going all zombie. He made sure not to go zombie season 2's finale, so still trying to keep that up. But it's like, finally got back into each other's life. Everything was clear on the table, and it's like, now you have this big rift between you now, because she's a zombie and now he's a human. And just, it's a very complicated situation. And to make matters worse is everyone knows now. Liv tried to put a more positive spin. She ended up getting Johnny Frost, the anchorman, to do it. And I love his little scene at the beginning. He was like, oh yeah, we're here, you know, getting, you know, shots for the cure and everything. And he's just like, okay, rushing his way to the line like he's doing it part of the piece, the interview piece. It's like, oh yeah, come on, yeah, I'm gonna show you how easy it is. See? Didn't even barely feel it. I was like, you're such a piece of shit using your position to jump to the front of the line like that. It's like, no, I'm important, so I take priority amongst all you common folk. But, I mean, it kind of came and bite him in the ass, but now he's a zombie now, and Liv kind of got him to tell her that, so, tell the world that, so. I guess this also takes Baracus off of the, like, list of, like, oh, he was behind this. It's like, nope, it seems like that was 100% Carrie. I guess, I don't know, because, like, Weckler's daughter kept being like, she was trying to tell Liv, she's trying to get all sympathetic and be like, oh yeah, I got turned at the boat party or whatever. And she was kind of like, they were going to force me, they were going to not give me brains if my dad didn't help. So it's like, was Carrie really like that? I feel like if Carrie was really like that, would you really stay around her? I feel like, I mean, obviously it seemed like she was just lying, trying to get Liv to lower her guard. But then, you know, Chase kind of sent out a message of his own, you know, telling everyone it's like, hey, we got these brain supplies. Which is like, maybe that's why because we did find out that he cut off supplies with Blaine's industry and everything like that. Because Blaine's like, oh, I'm working with Mr. Boss. I can get you access to international brains and stuff like that. You never have to worry about brains again. But he stopped them mainly because it's like, yeah, because your brains gives us visions and stuff like that. That's the whole point of the tubes and everything. So it seems like he's got its own supply. So that's why he wasn't really that concerned about Blaine's. Which it seems, I guess like if he worked with Blaine, it would mean having you manufacture the brains into tubes, and that would take a lot longer rather than just, if you're able to get them like that ahead of time, I guess it makes things easier and it takes less time or something, like especially at a moment where like as you can see, the whole town is like, the whole city is zombie, well, not a whole city, but a large quantity of the city are zombies now, so I guess that would make it so like they need to pump out like brains really quickly to feed everyone. Makes you wonder what connections do they have. I mean, they're a pretty big group, so I guess they have ties all over the place. I mean, it seems like this is probably something that was already kind of set in motion. It's like it was already built up just in case something like this happened. So contingencies upon contingencies and stuff like that. But even with that being said and done, it does seem like Blaine is back in a good position, because now that more of the city is zombies, it's put him in a good spot. You know, it's like, you know, for getting brains and stuff like that. It put like, now Seattle's officially on the map as zombie capital. Not full-blown zombie capital, but still zombie capital in a sense of like, yo, as long as you give us the brains of your dead, we won't go out looking for other brains. So, like, you know, hey, rest of the world, pay attention to this. Like, zombies, we're here. Which, like I said, still puts this in a bad light, because it's going to be a situation where once the rest of the world finds out, it's like the rest of the world is going to section off Seattle. And it's like, yo, you know, probably people are going to be calling for it. It's like, no, we need to nuke Seattle. There are zombies there. It's like, you know, but whoa, what about the human populace? Who cares? They're probably zombies now anyway. It's like, no, it's too late for them. You know, I mean, there's already people. It's like, yo, Chase was like, yeah, if you want to leave, you don't feel right living here anymore, bounce. It's okay. So, but you also see that divide being even greater. Like, you even see it at the end, there's zombies attacking. Like, there's just zombies getting food and everything like that, and other zombies show up and then attacking, and then, like, you know, the others, like the Fillmore Grave soldiers, shoot in the air, but it doesn't matter. The people still keep coming, and so they have to put them down. So that's definitely going to be something heavily going forward. Like, the fact of the matter is the divide is that much greater. There will be those who are okay with it, but there will also be those who are just terrified. I mean, that's fear. It's like probably one of man's most deadliest weapons when you actually think about it. Just how far fear can push you to do something. And like I said, it's understandable, because this is like a new reality that you're not being eased into. That was the whole point. Like, I think it was eventually, humanity was eventually going to find out anyway, but the point was for it to be on zombies' terms. It's like, no, this wasn't on their terms, so now it's just kind of everything's escalated. Everyone's kind of gotten thrown into the deep end on this. Got Major being a zombie again. Just because it's, once again, this is where he fits in. And that makes you wonder, where does his story go, like, starting next season, when they find out, like, oh, Major's a zombie. Oh, everyone he, like, did that to, you know, everyone he kidnapped was a zombie. Would people actually look at him and say, oh, Major, we heard everyone you were kidnapped? I was like, oh, man, the Chaos Killer was actually a hero. He knew about zombies ahead of time. Maybe, because I kind of threw that out as that could be how he works with Harley. But, I mean, that turned out not to be the case. But that might be something that happens going forward, where it's like, no. You know, like, in case, like, you know, being Fillmore Grace, he can work undercover and be like, oh, man, there's these, like, anti-zombie groups that we can, like, infiltrate now. It's like, oh, yeah, they know me as a Chaos Killer and stuff like that. Makes you also wonder what's going to happen with the whole Shauna situation. I mean, we never touched back on that in the moment they kind of broke things off, but, I mean, we'll kind of have to wait and see on that, so. And then the final note of the episode is like Robbie is making a vaccine. He got a little bit of, like, utopian particle. Well, some of it had evaporated because he got some off the girls that Caddy's body was examining a little earlier in the season. One of the girls' bodies Caddy was examining. So he's working on a vaccine, and he wants Liv to scratch him. She's, like, super against it, because, like, what if this doesn't work, dude? It's like, it's okay. I trust you, man. We've been through this. We've been through so much together. And it's just like, because, like, I appreciate that too, because that's one scene too adds so much weight, because it's like you had the rest of Seattle divided, but you had this moment that started it all, a friendship between Ravi and Liv. When he first found out about her being a zombie, he helped her, he became her friend. And so it shows you that not all hope is lost, that there is some hope, there is some light out there. Along with Ravi working on a vaccine and stuff like that, it's also the fact of the matter is that him, you know, that this friendship has lasted, that they are where they are now, that her being a zombie and him being human hasn't changed their friendship. So I think that's kind of a beautiful thing. And this also means that Liv probably will never get to see like Liv, you know, tanning herself up even as a disguise anymore, because it's like, well, everyone knows it's like full-blown zombie mode. So I mean, it's definitely like I said, it was a season finale that took me by surprise on so many different levels. I do already know that this show is being renewed for a 4th season. It's kind of interesting how I found out. Rahul Kohli, obviously he pops up in like Funhouse stuff from time to time, and I think it was like during some part of the E3, their drunk live streams. And when he was on with Funhouse, and he ended up kind of talking about, basic conversation led to him talking about a tweet where it's like he sees iZombie got renewed for a 4th season. That's actually how I found out about it. So it's just because, you know me, I'm the way I am about finding out whether shows got renewed or not. It's like, to me, that's the most interesting and roundabout way to find out. At the same conversation, found out about Supergirl being renewed for a 3rd season. So that's pretty cool. So it's super exciting to see where it goes from here. Obviously, Dale is now a zombie. What that means for, like I said, for her and Clive, Major being a zombie, and it seems like he's going to be more on the zombie side of things rather than human side of things. Not like he wants to hurt humans or hates humans, but he went into this like, because Chase was like, hey, know what this means. You signing up to become a zombie again, what that means. Because obviously there's no cures. We still never found out who took the cures either. So that's still a story element. Plus there's a whole Mr. Ball situation. There's his Blaine's dad situation. Still waiting for that crossover. I know it's going to come. I know that somehow that's going to come back to bite Blaine in the ass. Why? Because it continues to do it. He froze his dad, and what happened? His dad came back and tried to get him killed. So there, you know, and he's got his dad in the well. Like somehow Mr. Balls and him are going to join forces. Maybe it's going to be his dad and someone else. But nevertheless, it's definitely going to be interesting going forward with, like, I'm very interested to see what Liv's job is going to look like in the next season, considering like zombies are a thing now too. I mean, it's never come up before, but like, can zombies eat zombie brains? Like, that's never come up so far in the show. I mean, I don't think it's really worth... Maybe it's come up before and I don't remember, but it's like, that's never come up before. So, like, if Liv ate a zombie's brain, would she get their memories or something? I don't know. Probably not. It doesn't seem like it's something they've ever tackled, but it's like... Obviously, there's going to be zombie murders and there's going to be human murders going forward, so... Like I said, also the Justin and Liv thing, like, where does that go? Like, obviously, there's going to be some animosity there. Will they work things out? Does this mean there's going to be more, like, Chase and Liv, possibly? Or is it that was 100% Caddy's brain? Maybe this also presents an opportunity for Major and Liv now, too. But maybe they're just in a position, like, what happened? Natalie's gone, and she just had her situation with Justin, which, at the very least, Justin's alive. I mean, it didn't work out, but it didn't not work out in the same way as if it did with Lowell and Drake, with both of them dying. So there's a positive from that shitty situation. Also, whether Robbie's going to be a zombie or not, I don't think he is. I think he's going to turn out to be okay, and he's going to try and mass produce the vaccine, which will probably turn into a situation in itself of like, oh, no, give me the vaccine. I don't want to become one of these disgusting monsters. But then there's also going to be people like, no. Like I said, it's still the whole situation of, are there any more traitors amongst Fillmore Grays, or even just zombie people in general who are like, no. We cannot, like, let people stop. Like, we're not going to stop until this entire city is made of zombies. And if you're not a zombie, you're food. You know, that might be the type of mentality that kind of goes for. I mean, we've got like 3 different groups going on here. We've got like, you got the pro-zombie side, like Fillmore Gray people, and just pro-zombies in general. And then you have like the like anti-zombie, you know, pro-human side. And you have people like Liv and Ravi who are middle, and Blaine somewhere mixed in between too, because for him it's all about business and profit and stuff like that. So... And obviously with the whole aspect of the blue goo being introduced, that's definitely going to play a big part going forward too. So I almost completely forgot about, like, you know, Peyton's new position with Baracus. Kind of going back to, I think I started it earlier, but kind of trailed off from it. Like with the whole Baracus thing, I'm guessing like maybe something was I mean, we still never found out what was on the memory card specifically that warranted Weckler killing the dominatrix or him dying himself. Like, maybe it had to do with Baracus and Carrie wanted to cover things up. I mean, it seems like she was that seems like that was probably, like, more so, like, became her job title with everything that she was doing. She was becoming a cleaner, trying to just deal with everything. I don't know, just, like I said, just kind of turned out to be kind of the unexpected main antagonist of the, season, at least with everyone else. Blaine from the beginning, you saw he was the main antagonist in season 1. Season 2, you saw Vaughn easily rising and becoming the main antagonist, you know, but she's just the antagonist that came out of nowhere. That's like, yeah, I've been working behind the scenes doing all this. We still don't know exactly who it was that actually killed Wally and his family. I mean, that kind of goes back to it, too. There's that whole shot that was taken against Baracus, too, once again. So it seems like he fit somewhere in Carrie's plan. Like I said, like, he's part of the Doomsday plan. Now, whether he was a party to it or not, I don't think he was, but there's still a possibility of it. But I assume the person that shot him is most likely the person that went after Wally and his family. So that might be something that Clive deals with next season. I mean, Carrie's not around anymore, so there's no... How do you deal with that? And also, like, Weckler's daughter as well as Carrie's daughter is like, they're both on their own and they were part of this whole thing. And so we see Fillmore grave soldiers at their door. So it's like, they're part of this, like, mutiny and everything, so they're being dealt with. I doubt they're being killed. I'm sure they're being, like, arrested, but I'm sure we're going to see them pop up next season, too, just because of animosity probably towards Liv, because it's like, oh, you screwed up everything, or maybe it's a situation like, oh, you think you screwed up everything, but it's just the beginning. Even you only slow things down, things are going to go the way we want it to, whether you want them to or not. So I'm very interested to see what goes down in the 4th season, like, where these storylines go, because it's just going to be phenomenal, and I just know it. Like, Seattle is going to be like Seattle's never been before. But really, that's all I want to talk about in this episode. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.